Hey everybody, so I want to share with you a crash course on creating a Google Doc if you haven't done that before. Now, Google Docs you can access on any device that has internet. So whether that's an iPad, an Android phone, a MacBook, or a desktop, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you the desktop version of using Google Docs right now. So right up in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see an apps launcher, which I refer to as a waffle. You can access Google Docs just simply by clicking right here. Now, it might be in a different location on your screen because guess what? In Google Drive, you can move things around. I'm going to also show you by opening up Google Drive how you could create a Google Doc. So if I go up to New and I go to Google Docs, I can create a brand new doc. Now, here's a little tip for you. You can also click on this arrow and you can check out a lot of different templates for creating Google Docs as well. So that's kind of neat because you can click on here and maybe somebody has something a little bit better than maybe what you were thinking. If you go to General, you can see these are different types of docs out there. If you go to mhs.org, this shows you specific things for our organization. All right, so the other thing that you can do as well is you can go to docs.google.com, and that will also take you to a Google Doc, and you can click on blank. All right, so once you set up your Google Doc for the very first time, one of the things that you should know is that it automatically saves. So anytime that you do anything on a doc, it's going to save automatically. So let's go ahead and let's give this thing a title, and then let's say paragraph. Okay. All right, so right here, as you can see, I'm putting in content. What happens is this automatically saves, and if I go to my Google Drive, I'm going to see that that untitled document is right down here. Now, to give it a name, okay, what I can do is I can actually click right up here where it says Untitled Document, and I can click right here, and it'll automatically give it whatever the title is on that page. Now, you can change this to whatever it is that you want, but at least that gets you started. Okay, the other thing too is that you can put this in your Google Drive in any folder you want. So if you click right here, you're going to notice that you have your Google Drive and you could move it to any folders that you've created. So that's just another way of organizing things. You can also go to your Google Drive through MHS and click right here and move this into whatever folder it is that you want to throw it in. All right. So when you're working with Google Docs, generally what happens is you want to make sure that things look professional. So here's a couple tips for you for making a Google Doc to look professional. If you have right here a title, you can actually use this right here. It says normal text right now, but you can choose either title or heading, and notice what happens. It increases its font size and it also positions it like a title or a heading or something like that would be. You can go right up here, and these are your formatting controls. So you have right here where you can center align something, and that's extremely helpful. You'll also notice right here, you can change your text size. If you wanted to do that, I can highlight my text. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you need to highlight something, here are a couple tips for you. If you click twice on a word, it highlights that word. If you click 3 times on something, it highlights from return to return on your keyboard. What basically that means is that if you have a paragraph and you click 3 times on it, it'll highlight the entire paragraph. Also, you can change the whole entire document. You can change the font by just selecting Command A on your device, and that'll highlight everything. Or you can go right up here to edit and select all. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to change the font because I want to change it to a different font. Notice that there's different types of fonts that you can choose from right here. Some of the really good ones are, Times New Roman, you have Arial, etc. I like this one, Josephine Sans. I like that. All right. Other things that you can do as well in a Google Doc is that you can insert certain things. So if you're looking to insert maybe an image, you can do that by simply going right here. those images come from Google. So they're part of Creative Commons. So if I wanted to search for a car, I could do that. And let me go ahead and insert that. And it's going to click on insert. That'll automatically insert it into Google. And then what I can also do here is I can reposition it and shift it around. Now notice how it's kind of out of place. That's because right now it's what is called inline. So it's actually literally putting it right here after the word wrote. Now I can also do this, wrap text, and it will wrap it around any text. So if there was more text, it would wrap around it and not necessarily through it. So you can also change the margins or the amount of space that's between the text and your picture. All right. Some other things that you may want to consider using, some common things, are tables. So if you wanted to draw a table, what I might do is I might just hit return a few times, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert a table. Notice you just draw the table however you want, and then it'll automatically appear. So a lot of times when we're doing a table, we might have stuff like this. One way to actually spruce up your table might be to highlight your text. So I'm just clicking and dragging, and you'll notice that this comes up right here. This is the paint can. I can go right here to the paint can and change the color, make it bold, maybe make it center right here, so that now I have a professional looking table. There may be also times where you want to insert a link. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I wanted to highlight right here a word. So I double click on that word. I can go up to insert and I can go to a link, and then I could put in a website. So let's say, for instance, I'm just going to put google.com, or where I work is actually mhskids.org. Okay, I'm going to hit apply, and notice what happens is you can preview this and it'll actually take you right there. Isn't that cool? You can go through and do that. Now, here's another really cool trick for Google when you're inserting a link is if you highlight the word, okay, so Google's going to look at that word and say, I wonder if this is the website that you're talking about. So if I go right up here to insert and I go to a link right here, whoops, let me try that again. Just messed that up. All right, let's try it again here. You'll notice that it does a search and it says, is this what you're looking for? And you can select it and hit apply. So those are two different ways that you can use a Google Doc. Now, the other thing that you may want to consider, just some other tools at your disposal, is the commenting tool. So let's say, for instance, you're working with somebody, you're collaborating, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. You can use this right here, the comment, or you can insert a comment, either one works, and talk about what you want to do. I like this idea. Okay. Now, what can happen is the other person or yourself can go back and you can respond to this. So you can click on it and you can respond to it, or you can just go ahead and check mark and say that it's completely done. If you want to come back to that and revisit it, no problem, because you can go right up here. This opens the comment history. And let's say, for instance, you want to reopen that. That'll actually be reopened. Okay, so you can always do that. You can always go back. What about sharing? Like, how do you share something with somebody? Well, if you go right up here to the share button, it'll ask you who you want to share it with. So there's a couple different ways I can do it. One, I can go through and I can actually choose a specific person, and then I can give them different editing rights. So if I want them to be able to make changes to the document, maybe I keep them as an editor. If I only want them to be able to see the document, I can keep them as a viewer. And in some cases, when you're writing a paper or something like that, and you wanted somebody to just comment on it, not make any changes, you can have that as well. As soon as you choose what you would like them to do, you can choose multiple people, by the way, as well. You can go ahead and hit send, and it'll send an email to them. And it goes actually not only to their inbox, but it goes in their Drive folder to right here where it says shared with me. They'll see it show up in there shared with me as well. So if you ever have somebody that shares a document with you and you're like, oh no, I deleted the email, well, that's where it goes. All right. The other thing you could do too is you could just share the link to the document. So I can change this so that anybody at Milton Hershey School that has access to this link can view it. So that's great for people that you're just not sure who's going to view it or not. You can go ahead and do that and then hit done. Okay, so and one last tool that I want to share with you is, okay, what about going back and checking out the document history? Can you do that? Absolutely. If you go up to the File menu and you go to Version History, you can see the version history, and you'll notice that right here, each task is listed right here, and you'll see my name because I'm signed into my Google account and highlighting what I did. So I did all of these different things at 10:03 a.m. At 10:02 a.m., I did this. So you can go back and you can revisit this anytime you want. But here's the other cool thing. I can go back to what it looked like at the very beginning of the document and say, you know what, this is what I want. So I'm going to hit restore this version. And now it'll automatically go back to what it looked like at 9:58 a.m. If I want to go back, I can do that as well. I can go right here, see version history, and it can say, you know what, I want it to look like this again. I can hit restore version. So that's really helpful. Version history is also a great tool if you want to see from a student perspective how much work they've done. If all of a sudden you see a gigantic piece of paper show up where there was no text before, a minute later, you could probably say that there might be some plagiarism going on there. So hopefully that helps give you an overview of Google Docs.